Good morning dear students. I am teaching chapter 11 and name of the chapter 11 is the force and pressure. And in this we discussed about the more about contact forces, and today I will discuss about the mechanical forces. What is the mechanical forces? Mechanical forces. The force generated by a machine are called the mechanical forces. Force that is generated by the different kinds of machines are called the mechanical forces. And this mechanical forces no machine produce on its own. When you have to apply some kind of force, then only it will work. Otherwise no machine cannot work with their own. In order to produce force, we must supply it with some kind of energy, and then the force used to run a motor car engine is produced by using the energy of petrol, and the force used to run a steam engine is produced by the using the energy of coal. And you know that windmills use the energy of wind to produce force which is used for grinding wheat, and sailboats are also use the energy of the wind to produce force which propels the boats. And you can see that the energy of the flowing water is used to produce necessary force, and which runs the electric generators to produce electric currents. So this is the mechanical force which is generated by the different kinds of machines. Now come to the force of friction. What is the friction? Question is arises here, what is the friction? In different classes from the class 2nd onwards, you are studying that what is the friction. Force of friction or frictional force. Roll a rubber ball on the ground, and what do you observe after a few seconds? Ride a bicycle, and when the bicycle starts moving with a good speed, stop paddling. What do you observe? When paddling will start, then what do you observe? You observe, in the case of ball, it stops after traveling a certain distance, and the bicycle stops if you stop paddling. Obviously, if you will stop paddling, then bicycle will stop. And in either case, that is ball or bicycle, they first slow down and then stop. And you know that we have already learned that the force can either slow down or stop the moving bodies, and therefore there must be some force acting on the ball or the bicycle which stops them, and this force is called the force of friction. This kind of force is called the force of friction. It is produced when an object moves in contact with another object. In the above examples, you can see that the ball or the bicycle was in contact with the surface of the earth, and a force which acts on the surface of the contact when body moves or tends to move upon another body, that is called the force of friction. You know that what is the force of friction? A force which is act on the surface of contact with one body moves or tends to move upon another body is called the force of friction. Then now I will discuss about the more about non-contacted forces. So in contact forces, I discussed about the biological force, muscular force, and mechanical force, and force of friction or frictional force. And now I will discuss about more about non-contact forces. So in this I will discuss gravitational force. First force I will discuss the gravitational force. Gravitational force. Gravitational force. Gravitational force. More about the non-contacted forces. In first one, the gravitational force. So first gravitational force in this, you know that gravity. What is the gravity? Earth pulls all objects towards its center, and the pull exerted by the earth on the object is called force of gravity or gravitational force. What is the gravitational force? Whenever an object is dropped, it always falls towards the ground. For example, ripe fruits on a tree fall towards the ground, and then a stone on the top of a hill, it falls downwards. If pushed, why cannot these substances rise up? Obviously, when we will throw anything from the ups, then it will come downside. So why it happens? Due to the gravity. Why it happens? It happens due to the gravity. Gravitational force. When an object is dropped, you know that it always falls towards the ground because of the gravity. And when we throw an object vertically upward, the force of gravity of earth at once stop acting on it, and then first it slows down the object and then stops it and finally pulls it towards itself. It is the force of gravity which gives weight to an object. Weight is basically the force of gravity acting on a body. What is the weight? The force or pull by which an object is attracted towards earth, that is called the weight. The force or pull by which an object is attracted towards earth, that is called the weight. And if you hold a stone in your hand, you will feel as if some force is pulling your hand downwards. In order to stop your hand moving downwards, the muscles of hand apply an equal force in the upward direction, and this force balances the force of gravity due to the earth and does not cause any motion. And now we will discuss about the activity 11.1. So activity 11.1. Activity 11.1. Activity 11.1. To show that weight of a body is a force. What is a force? A weight of a body is the force. In diagram you can see that when you will cut a rubber strip, then 10 centimeter, it should be 10 centimeter long and 1 centimeter wide. And when you will see that old rubber tube of a bicycle, fix the rubber strip to the edge of a table with a drawing pin as shown in the figure. 11.15. You will read activity 11.1. Now pull the rubber in the downward direction and with your hand as shown in the figure 11.15b, and you will see that rubber gets stretched. Thus the force causes stretching in the rubber tube. Now suspend a heavy stone from the rubber strip with the help of a strong cotton thread as shown in figure 11.15. It is seen that rubber strip gets stretched. What causes this stretching? Obviously, it is the weight of the stone which causes stretching, similar to the stretching caused by pulling it. And this activity clearly proves that weight is a kind of force. So, in this activity, it is clear that weight is the kind of force. Weight is the kind of force. Electrostatic force. What is the electrostatic force? Next one is the electrostatic force. So, electrostatic force is another kind of force which can push or pull tiny objects. The following activity will prove it. And activity 11.2. Activity 11.2. To show electrostatic force attracts tiny bits of paper. Materials required: small bits of dry paper, plastic ruler. Method: Rub one end of the plastic ruler against your hair. The hair must be dry. Otherwise, you can rub the ruler on your woolen pullover. Bring the rubbed end of the ruler near teeny bits of paper. Then notice how teeny paper bits cling to the plastic ruler. You can see that due to the electrostatic force, when you will take your comb, in other example also you can take, if you will take the comb and you have to rub to your hair, and after that when you will take the teeny bits of paper, and then here some force is there, that is the electrostatic force. And why it happens? Because comb is electrically charged, and when it is charged, then it pulls the bits of the paper towards itself. Thus the activity clearly proves that electricity is a kind of force, and the electrostatic force is used in removing carbon and ash particles in smoke coming out of the chimneys of big factories. This helps in reducing air pollution. So all of you take revision till here.